Hello and welcome to a Writing Center tutorial. Today we're going to be discussing improving style. This lesson will teach you how to make your writing more crisp, clean, and interesting. Here are 7 tips that will help you get rid of unnecessary words and communicate your message more effectively. Step 1. Use strong verbs. Verbs are like the engine of a sentence. They tell your reader what is happening or what is being done. Pay close attention to the verbs you use. Avoid to be verbs, like is, are, was, were, am, being, been, etc. There is nothing wrong with these verbs, but they don't convey detail or action and only a state of being. Here are some examples of how replacing to be verbs can make your writing more specific and interesting. My brother was being mean. This is good, but you can always make it more powerful. My brother threw the ball at my face. Kind of intense, but that's kind of the point. The sun was really bright on the snow. Now compare it to the sun shone brightly on the snow. Being a nice person is a good way to be happy. Instead, we can try kindness leads to happiness. You can see how the second set of sentences are more descriptive and powerful. You can do this by choosing verbs that are meaningful and full of action. Step 2. Avoid passive voice constructions. Another way to make your writing more active is to avoid using passive voice constructions. Passive voice occurs when the subject of doer of the verb is not named, or named awkwardly at the end of a sentence. This problem is easy to fix. Simply eliminate the be verb and put the subject in front of the stronger verb that you have chosen. Let's see some examples. Passive. The election's outcome was decided by the Supreme Court. Active. The Supreme Court decided the election's outcome. Passive. The subject was being held in custody by the police. Active. The police held the suspect in custody. Passive. Accusations were made and feelings were hurt. Here you would look at who accused, whose feelings were hurt. Active. The supervisor accused his coworkers and hurt their feelings. Although these sentences say the same thing, the ones in active voice are clear and direct. They tell you who is doing what instead of anonymously stating that something was done. Always check when you use was or were in your writing to see if you can replace it with an active verb that tells you who is doing the action. Step 3. Avoid excessive intensifiers and qualifiers. Intensifiers are words like really, so, very, much, totally, absolutely, exceptionally, quite, amazingly, incredibly, etc. These words can add force or weight to a sentence, but when used too often, they become artificial, monotonous, and weak. In the case of intensifiers, less is more. Read these sentences to see how too many intensifiers are not effective. It is really amazing how intensifiers make sentences very cumbersome. I am so glad I know how to avoid making this mistake so often. Qualifiers are words like probably, most, mostly, occasionally, might, maybe, sometimes, somewhat, etc. These are useful when you want to state how much there was, or how often something happened, but too many make your writing sound wishy-washy or watered down. Gun laws are probably a good idea most of the time. Occasionally, torture might be necessary in some cases. For the most part, it has been a somewhat good year. After reading these sentences, you are left unsure about what the writer actually believes. Here is a more direct way of making the same statements. There are more benefits than drawbacks to having gun laws. In extreme circumstances, torture could be necessary. Overall, it has been a good year. Step 4. Increase sentence variety. Good writing requires a variety of sentence patterns. Avoid repeating the same sentence construction too often in the same paragraph. In the following example, the writer gets into a rut of starting too many sentences with dependent clauses. While I enjoy skiing, I like snowboarding as well. Although fresh powder is best for snowboarding, well-groomed slopes are best for skiing. Since I can't do both, I have to choose which one I will do. Before I hit the slopes, I check to see how much it snowed the night before. See how this paragraph gets monotonous? Even if what the writer is saying is interesting, having all the same sentence patterns can bore the reader. In the next example, compound sentences are the only patterns used. I enjoy skiing, but I like snowboarding too. Fresh powder is best for snowboarding, and well-groomed slopes are best for skiing. I can't do both, so I have to choose which one I will do. I check to see how much it snowed the night before, and then I know whether to ski or snowboard. Again, these repetitive sentences wear out the reader. There are many ways to increase sentence variety. Notice how simply having a mixture of the two patterns used above, starting with dependent clauses and compound sentences, makes the paragraph less tiresome to read. I enjoy skiing, but I like snowboarding as well. Snow conditions make all the difference. Fresh powder is best for snowboarding, and well-groomed slopes are best for skiing. So, before I hit the slopes, I check to see how much it snowed the night before. Step 5. Vary sentence length. Too many short, simple sentences can make your writing sound childish. But too many long, complex sentences can be confusing or lose the reader's attention. I enjoy skiing. I like snowboarding too. Fresh powder is best for snowboarding. Well-groomed slopes are best for skiing. I have to choose which one I will do. I check to see how much it snowed the night before. Varying the length and complexity of your sentence helps provide rhythm in your paragraphs and makes them more interesting to read. Remember to always read your work out loud so you can hear the rhythm, or lack thereof, in your writing. Step 6. Avoid word and phrase repetition. Sometimes writers latch onto a word or phrase and then wear it out. Consider using synonyms, different words with the same meaning, or simply a fresh approach to the same idea. Notice the word and phrasing repetition in this passage. America was the first country to successfully implement a democracy guaranteed by the Constitution. The process was not easy and involved a lot of debate among the founding fathers, but eventually they were able to successfully implement democratic elections. The successful implementation of the Bill of Rights eventually brought reluctant colonies into the new democracy. 2 repeated phrases appear in this short paragraph. Some variation of successful implementation and democracy or democratic would help give variety to the paragraph. America was the first country to implement a democracy guaranteed by a constitution. The process was not easy and involved a lot of debate between the founding fathers, but eventually they were able to hold democratic elections. Passing the Bill of Rights eventually brought reluctant colonies into the new nation. There's nothing wrong with using the same word occasionally, but when you revise, look for repetitions that sound awkward or tiresome, and experiment with variations. Step 7. Avoid cliches. Cliches are overused phrases that have become predictable and dull. When people read, they want to hear original and fresh language that provides a new point of view. Cliches make writing stale and impersonal. The following provide just a few examples of the many cliches. Cliches are a dime a dozen. Her words cut like a knife. Beauty is skin deep. I couldn't believe my eyes. The fog was as thick as pea soup. What goes around comes around. Seeing is believing. I felt like I had just been hit by a ton of bricks. Whenever you think of a phrase that you have heard people say before, think of a new way to say it. Cliches can be hard to catch, so be sure that what you are saying describes accurately what you want to say. Don't rely on common or popular expressions. Use your own language to describe things. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any further questions, feel free to look at the other videos, shoot us an email, or come visit us at the Writing Center. We're open from Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. until 5:45 p.m. If you need any help, feel free to contact us. Thank you so much and have a great day.